Hi, legends. Welcome. This is, we got to put this on the podcast. This is the Gym Boss podcast. Tom's been on here before, client of mine down in Canberra, and he's very knowledgeable with what to do in terms of when it comes to government regulations and things like that. So I figured this is a perfect time to be able to bring him on and help all the gym owners in Australia. And if, you know, you're international as well, there might be some gems in here for you as well. But what you can do, we're going to cover sort of two main things. It's like, what can you do with your current things that you have is like big overheads, like with your landlords and if you're leasing equipment, etc. And then the second part of that is like, what can you do? Where do you go to? How do you access all this stuff? And what are you potentially entitled to from the government during all this COVID sort of stuff as well? So Tom, hey man, thanks for coming on and doing all this.
Yeah.
So
been interesting 24 hours.
Oh, it has. It's been crazy. So fill us in, man. Like, tell us a little bit maybe of like what you've done with your, like, what's some conversations you've had maybe with the landlord and what's all that sort of stuff in terms of like your overheads.
Yeah, look, so I think one of the things that when you like, I mean, I wrote an article about this last week, ironically, and about, you know, getting through the GFC and then looking at other things. And one of the things a lot of people do is really, really crush back on their costs, which is a great idea. There's a lot of, I think the first thing you probably should look at is the bigger ones obviously are really important. Contact your landlord and say, you know, seek what assistance they're prepared to give you. Some of them, you know, if it's their livelihood, are going to be quite resistant. And what you need to do is you need to make a commitment to them. So whether you don't say to them, I don't want to pay rent for this period, say, you know, if you could skip it for this period and I'll add it to the end of my lease, or, you know, or how do we, you know, if they say flat out no, you know, work it out. What I did was I actually physically went and met with my landlord weeks ago. So I've been planning for this for about 4 weeks because, as Jimmy would know, we had in Canberra, we've had the trifecta. It's been an absolute shit show. We had fire. The fires came right to the board, like right to the town. Into the southern suburbs, which is where a lot of my clients come from. We then had hailstorms, then we had some freak flooding, and then somebody must have gone, look, it can't get any worse than that. Bam, here we go, COVID-19. And so I actually went to the landlords at them and said, look, you know, I'll be honest, I've lost 25% of my business in terms of revenue. We're not generating.
And that was before COVID because of bushfires and all that stuff.
That was before COVID. And so one of the things that we've noticed now is that not only have we lost the business, we've lost, I think it's about 8 or 9 members since in the last 2 weeks, like since the beginning of last week, we've lost 8 or 9 members since. We're down from about 370 in November down to about 320 at the moment. The revenue's down considerably because we're not getting the additional sales revenue that we normally get. So we were normally averaging between $5,000 and $10,000 a month in new revenue. And so that the churn underneath wouldn't have been such a problem. Recurring revenue was sort of near the 27,500. Now that's down near 21, and we're not getting the new revenue coming in the door. So we've got to look at, okay, what do we do? How do we bring it? Because for the cost of running the business, my cost of running the business was still at $32,000 a month. So how do you cut back that? So first thing I did was I literally, and it's a horrible thing to do, I literally looked at, okay, who in your business is not generating you revenue? And so one of the things I did first is I had 2 admin guys, and I literally turned around and said, look, the admins and their instructors, I said, I'm going to keep you on as instructors, doing your instructor hours. We'll do a virtual stuff, keep you employed here, but I can't offer you admin shifts anymore. And I paid them out their leave. And also I've suggested that they go, and I will talk about this, come back. I suggested that they go and actually apply for this job seekers assistance that the government is giving. And I will.
Your staff, right? Yeah.
That's for the staff, and I will come back to that for the business owners as well. There is something that you really should take out of that. So we looked at that.
Can I just ask real quick? Because I was speaking to another client yesterday, and he did like what you suggested in terms. I'm talking about rent, because that's the biggest thing that every gym owner has. That's the biggest overhead that everybody has, unless you have a huge payroll as well. But not usually everybody is like that. So he actually got his lawyer to do all the work for him, talking to the landlord and everything, which if you have a solicitor or a lawyer, this is why you have them, right? Yeah. This is why you have them. And he managed to get this. Whatever period of time that this COVID stuff is on and you're closed, you do not pay rent. Yeah. But what you suggested as well. Say, for example, closed for 10 weeks. Well, now your lease is extended for 10 weeks on the back end of that. And that is just a massive relief for the gym owner and for the landlord. So they're still getting the same amount of cash.
Hey, and look, and I'll put this in there. Lawyers, I must admit, having been in business for a long time, lawyers are pretty much the last people you should use in terms of negotiating with your landlords, because a lot of them freak out.
Right.
So personable, transparent, honest approach with them, not emotive, just literally, hey, in letter, here's the facts. This is what I would like. If you don't get anywhere, that's when you escalate it from there.
Got it.
But one of the things, oh, sorry, that's my phone. I'll hang up on that. Was it one of the things that, that let's face a bit of a reality is no one is, can I swear on this?
Yeah.
No one is going to fucking fill a lease right now. So if you fucking cut back if your payments were, let's say $1,200 a week and you cut back to $300 a week, they will not evict you. They will be desperate to have any money coming in the door. Just cut back on your payments and then tell them, this is all I can offer you until things change. If you've got a landlord that is totally resistant to having a freeze, just pay the bare minimum and then say, I'll pay it back later. And take your time.
I'm gonna jump in here though.
Yeah.
If your revenue is not affected,
yes.
Like if you've kept people on as all online and your revenue is the same, keep paying your landlord.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you want your clients to keep paying you. So you need to show that same fucking respect and keep paying your landlord. Don't go around looking for freebies and looking for handouts during this period if you don't need it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Absolutely.
You don't need it.
Yeah.
Show the respect that you would want your clients to show you.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. But I think the other thing is that you got to think about is like, be upfront with them and say, hey, look, this is where we're at right now. And if things change, this is where we're at right now, and keep them in the loop. Don't just suddenly, don't make it a surprise, because for them, it's like, oh, everything was fine yesterday. Oh shit, all of a sudden it's really bad today. So I met with my landlord and said, look, I'm going to continue trading. I'm going to go back to him and say, look, I want a period because I had to close yesterday at midday. And I'm going online. Can you give me a couple of months for free and we'll extend it? And I'm going to, I'll ask for 3, extend it. And I'll say to him, I'll keep paying what I owe so that there's still money going in the door. So that, and I'll keep paying as much as I can until then. And if I get into credit, fantastic. If you guys want to take it, whatever. Right now, I need to focus on keeping my staff employed. And that's the focus for me. Keeping as many as my trainers employed, so I'm not having to do the 45 classes a week myself.
But also, from a good friend of mine has quite a reputable restaurant and cafe in Sydney. And he was just like, look, for me, it'd be much easier just to close the doors because me and my business partner are in a strong, personally, we're in a strong financial position. We've got a lot of savings, we've got a lot of this and investments, blah, 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 blah. But I've got 45 staff members that have wives, husbands, kids and everything that are relying on their paycheck week to week or month to month. So I'm staying open because of them. Absolutely. And this is exactly what you're talking about. Keep as many of you guys employed because it's good for everybody.
Yeah, look, and I'll be honest. Like my wife and I tend to, unfortunately, because I went through the GFC, and I'll be honest. In the GFC, in 1 year, I went from having 2 houses, about to get married, and my wife's pregnant with our first child. We lost our 2 houses. We still got married. Ended up with a $10,000 bloody tax debt from the ATO because I got embezzled at the same time because people were preying on everybody. And we still came out of it, and I started the business years later. Things will get better over time. Right now, it might seem really, really scary, but it's like, just don't buy into the fear. Don't buy into the fear at all, because if you buy into it, because your customers are going to bring it to you. I'm not joking. I had a guy come in yesterday and absolutely abuse the hell out of me in front of his kids and say things like, you're taking money out of my children's mouths. And if he had just bothered to explain to me his situation, I wouldn't have had an issue. He came in looking for a fight. Like I was out to get him, and I do not understand why. And I had to basically, tell him that he wasn't welcome to come back. I don't want his money. I didn't take it, and I'm not going to take it.
But you got to also look at this. When people are like that, with the fear and stuff, that is a reflection of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on? It's not necessarily you. No. If they're coming to you, you're just the recipient of their headspace.
Yep, exactly right.
And you just need to be able to do whatever you can to put them at ease.
Yeah. So look, going back to, we're talking about the business expenses.
So what about we've got rent, but what about if people have got equipment on lease?
Yeah, look, so one of the hardest things to negotiate is equipment on lease. So with the banks at the moment, it's very easy. So like I have a business overdraft. I contacted the bank. They actually gave me back January and February's interest from my overdraft, and they've frozen any interest. Some of the other lease agreements, the companies are going to be feeling it. So they're going to basically look, and it's going to be horrible for their goodwill in the future, but they're going to try and shut down people being able to stop the payments. They're going to say, look, most of them will be good, but they'll be occasional. So negotiate where you can, and the money that you're saving, reuse that for some of the other things.
Okay. So what about somebody that's never negotiated anything before in their life?
You just literally have to write down where you're at. Transparency is key. If you say, hey, I need 3 months suspended, they'll just go, why? You say, hey, look, guys, I've had a genuine decrease in revenue. Things are going on. There's a whole lot of uncertainty. Can I delay my payments for 3 months? This is the problem. You're still going to have to pay it later on. And this is the problem. People are going to get into debt cycles too. And if you can avoid borrowing money at this point, it's probably a good idea. If you've got equity somewhere else that you can reinvest, that's a good idea. So, for example, I've got a massive printer behind me. I've got a Konica Monalta today, and I've got a few companies I'm slowly going through and say, look, guys, I need 3 months. If they want to take it back, take it back. I don't care. Look, whatever that works for them. But it's like, just negotiate. Just ring up and just tell them the truth. Don't make up stories. Don't sound dodgy. It's about be the way that you want your customers to be with you. You want them to be genuine, upfront, transparent, all that stuff. Just be the same.
I agree. So the leasing equipment side of things might be more challenging than the landlord.
Yeah, landlord and the banks are going to be a lot easier than other things. So look, and one of the things that my wife and I did was refinanced a house in February when we saw this coming. So I've taken some cash, and I have, first of all, taken care of my family. So I put an amount of money aside. So I have got probably 10 months worth of mortgage payments sitting in a bank account. I've got an amount of money sitting in my business saving account on the side. I have not paid my December BAS. I have not paid my March BAS. The ATO can go to hell right now.
Yes.
They are the lowest priority creditor on your list, and you can negotiate with them for the rest of eternity.
Okay. And I've got to preface this as well before we go any further. Tom and I are not financial advisors by any degree, yes. And we are not any tax advisors. We're not anything like that. So please go, before you make any decisions on this stuff, go seek counsel from your accountant and from any of your finance people that are within your business, like your bookkeepers, etc. Like, you need to speak with those professionals. We're just telling you our experiences here, and you can then hopefully can trigger the chain of events for you to then go and seek out the right people that you need to go seek. I just don't want to make sure.
No,
huge asterisks. Okay.
And I think it's one of those things that, Jimmy, when you go back and do this, that you put a disclaimer at the beginning of this podcast before you publish it online. So the people watching, again, this is my experience from what you need to do to get through. I've got that money sitting aside. The government is going to be giving us some money. That's what they're talking about. It's probably going to be the end of April. So you need to hang on to as much cash as you can right now to get through the next 6 weeks.
Yeah. So if you've got PAYG things that you're paying like weekly or monthly or whatever, if you've got BAS payments that you whatever, like, still put it aside, but hold it there and see what happens. Like, don't put it into the ATO's account. Put it aside in your account where you can't touch it. And see what happens. You just need to this is a time where you just need to storage. You need to put cash into storage.
I'm still putting $500 a week into my GST and PAYG account. That's going on top of the money that I put there. But then I took some of that and then I invested in some equipment, and I can walk around and show people. But I put screens up so we can cast, and we've done all that stuff. We've got 2 training areas here. And we put up screens. So now we did classes last night so that I've got the venue here and I can actually do the classes. So I'm not at home doing them at home. I'm showing people that we're still in the venue.
That'd be cool to go into that actually at the end.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've talked about overheads with landlords and equipment. They're the 2 big things. And then the other thing you've mentioned on is with staff. What about if the people do have staff members and they're just like, holy crap, like, I just really can't afford them right now.
Then you have to, if you are a sole trader or a director of a business, you are, especially if you're a director of a business, you are legally required to ensure that your business is solvent. So you are required by law, if your business is suffering and losing cash, you are required by law to alleviate the cost pressures on your business. So that means if you need to let staff go, you let them go. If you need to put them on, the best thing you can do is take the lesson from Qantas, is don't fire them, cut their hours back, or cut them back to zero, or to put them on a extended hiatus and say, look, I am not dismissing you. I just cannot afford to continue your employment at this point, but I would like to have you ready to go so that when we can go again, I want you back. And you need to be upfront with those people and give them the advice that they can. Tell them what they can apply for, because if they can show that their hours have been significantly dropped by 20% or more, they are entitled to what the government is offering them at the moment.
Yeah, the job seekers allowance, which is like they've like doubled it or something.
$1,100 a fortnight, yeah. Which
so
for a lot of people, yeah, it's going to be
$150 a week that you would be getting. And to be honest, most of your trainers might be getting paid that much anyways. Yeah. So that's pretty good.
And so the business, what the government's offering the businesses at the moment, I think this will change. So at the moment, you're going to get, at the moment, they're saying a 50% credit on any PAYG installment that you have for January through March. So if you submit it and it's $5,000, you only have to pay $2,500. I have a personal opinion, again, not a financial advisor. I have a personal opinion that is not enough. But then the government's talking about minimum $20,000 per small company. So I'm assuming that they'll expect you to use that to pay off ATO debts first. It'll be you've watched the way that this is a Liberal government. Let's not be naive. Okay. This isn't a Labor government. This is a Liberal Party government. So the other things that they're looking at is 50-50 guarantees with business loans. I would be very hesitant to take out a loan now, knowing that you will have to pay it back. So remember, if you borrow money, you will have to pay it back. It is not a grant. The $20,000.
So the difference, that'd be cool. What's the difference between a loan and a grant? Because the government is saying that small businesses can get a grant of minimum 20,000, maximum 100,000. Yep. That'll be depending on payroll and all that sort of stuff, right? And GST that you pay, BAS and stuff. Tax for the non-Australian people.
VAT, I think they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or VAT if you're the UK.
Value add tax. Yeah. That's right.
So
the grant versus
government doing the grants, but there's stipulations of that, because if you're a gym owner but you're operating under your personal ABN and you don't have staff, right? Just say you've got a small studio, you're not classified as a small business, are you?
No, that's what they're encouraging you to go to Centrelink and apply for the assistance through the job seekers plus the COVID bonus.
Yeah. So the job seekers plus COVID bonus is at $1,100 a month, a fortnight, which is every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's just how you've structured your business means that you don't get the 20 grand grant. If you're set up as a company with directors and then you have employees, at least one employee, then that's classified as a small business.
That's right. As if you are paying PAYG. So if you have a casual employee and only works 2 hours a week and they're not paying PAYG, there may be some murky areas.
And if you don't know what PAYG is, then that means you're not doing it.
You're not paying it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And look, there are, again, speak to your accountant, guys. There are other things that you can do. If you do have a PTY Ltd company, like an actual company, any money that you put into the company now that is considered post-tax, you will get it back tax-free later on. So if we refinanced our house and we've injected $20,000 into the business as a safety net so that I can continue to operate. If the shit hits the fan, I've got something there. That money will come back to me tax-free in the future. Okay, so you've got to talk to your accountant about it. There's other things that you can do around directors' loans and all kinds of stuff like that. I've got a family trust that owns our business. There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's how we've got ours set up as well.
Yeah, and it's a costly thing. Right now, it's probably not the best to change, but look at the future because it does protect you in terms of liability. The other thing that we're looking at business expenses that I've cut back on is, have you got things that you can get rid of? So I had a staff member who had a vehicle and then the shit hit the fan, and I turned around to her and said, look, I'm looking at costs. And she said, well, I could give the company car back. And I said, great. I sold it within 24 hours.
Perfect.
And it covered all of the debt on it, and it's gone. So that's $250 a fortnight I don't need to think about. do you have extra mobile phones? Do you have extra hosting plans, old things? Look, I got rid of my ClickFunnels account because my new program has a page builder. Why would I have two different things?
Yeah. So this is probably like the way to like summarize this is do a stock take of all your assets and all your expenses. And when I say assets, that means like, this is going into like more of a marketing thing, is like assets is like, what's all the cool stuff you got? Not necessarily like physical things. It could be like, do you have an email database that you can send out offers to? Like, hey, we've got this. Do you have an email? Like, do you have a text list? Do you have promotions that you've used in the past? Do you have, and then you look at the physical side of things. Where's your equipment? Phones, cars, all that sort of stuff that Tom's just rattled off. And then you could go into digital. Where's your subscriptions?
Yeah.
Do you need to have all of these subscriptions, or can you scale it back to like the bare bones minimum? Like, what is essential?
Yeah. Look at like changing providers. Like you can go from move from Acuity to Calendly because it's cheaper. There's things that you can do to switch over. Look, I've moved from one platform CRM to another one. It's going to cost me more money, but it's not linked to a payment company in Australia. It's linked to a credit card processing company. So some of the payment companies are locking down gyms and basically going, we're not going to take payments from your customers. So
I've seen that happen to a couple other clients already, where they've stopped the billing for all their members that they have in their gym. So now even when the members might say they have 100 members that still want to support them by paying membership and getting online training.
Get onto Stripe. They're going to continue taking payments.
Stripe is the best for this scenario, I think, because it takes 10 minutes to set up and you don't need to speak to anybody. It's all online, and then you can just literally go.
And you can set up recurring payments in there, and it integrates with a whole lot of things.
Yeah. It's it's, to put it simply, if you've never used it, this is a bad way to describe it, but the easiest way for people to sort of understand it. Think of it like a PayPal, but on steroids. Way easier to use, way better to use, way more user-friendly for the gym owner, because they're not going to freeze your money for you like how PayPal does. And and you can set up subscriptions, recurring stuff, and it's very easy. A lot of reporting that you can get through it as well. And it's free to use. They just simply take a small percentage of each sale that goes through. That's it.
That's right. And they won't charge for bounce for payments and all kinds of stuff as well. So there's benefits to it. Look, I think the thing is for a lot of people is like, what can you do? Reducing all of these costs is great. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. If you like I say, there's people say, was it Henry Ford? Basically, if you don't advertise, you're just wasting money. But it's like, I can't remember the exact quote, but I have chosen to cut back on advertising now so that I'm saving the money, so that when we have a proper minimum viable product. So there's talk about parlance in terms of minimal viable product is the cheapest, simplest product that you can put to market that people will buy. So once we have got, this week, we're doing a bit of recording, we're doing some post-production stuff that we're getting together, like videos from last 24 hours. This morning's boot camp, I'm going to edit it up and do it a bit of a promotion, and then look at what product can you offer as quickly as possible, and then promote that. Yeah. But don't stop spending the money and think I'm saving money. No. You have to put it aside and invest it for later. Exactly.
And so this is what we're doing at the agency for all our clients, and we have we've actually got an ad going out promoting just this thing, and it's the most successful promotion that we've done as an agency to get gym owners. Is like, how do we save your gym and go online? And we talk about this exact same thing, called the MVP. People think they have to have this perfect thing ready to go. This wasn't supposed to be a marketing thing, but think of the iPhone, right? The iPhone, I remember the first one that I can recall was the iPhone 3, right?
It was 3GS. It was awful. It was awful.
And like, but now up to iPhone 11 Plus Pro with like fucking 3 cameras on it and all sorts of stable and all sorts of cool shit. And in between, there's probably 20 different variations or more of like 4, 4S, 5, 5S, 6 Plus, the fucking big one. So many different phones they've gone through. And if they waited till they got to the 11 to come out in 2019 or 2020 when it came out, they would have missed out on all that opportunity to get revenue, to grow, to build their brand, and to then iterate. So what you need to do is, like Tom's saying, have your minimum viable product, get it out now. And guess what? Start selling it before you've even got it.
And can I make a comment just really quickly? Apple's phones are never the most awesome products when they come out. I'm not joking. So the iPhone 11, this camera's been out with Samsung for 2 years. All right. The actual screen that they're using is old. They're actually using older technology. The batteries themselves aren't latest gen. Even the chipset is a year old when it comes out. So don't feel like you have to have the best product now. Think about that whole thing is it's like, just see what people will buy, test it, put it out there. If people don't buy it, that doesn't, then find out what they want.
I've done a whole video on a whole range of videos. There's podcast episodes of this. So if you want to go more into that, you can go into that.
Yeah.
So that's just, I feel like I don't want to make this into a marketing
No, go
episode.
for it. Yeah.
But to recap, we've talked about like your big overheads, landlords, government stuff, taxes, stuff, right? And landlord, go speak to your landlord, negotiate, be open, transparent, write down everything. Government, as we said, massive asterisk here.
With the landlord,
they're your last priority in terms of payments.
Yeah.
You still keep putting that money aside, save it there, because there's a lot of stuff that's coming out where with grants for businesses or, depending on what bucket you fall under, whether you're a sole trader, then you can go for the job seekers allowance, or if you're a company where you have PTY Ltd company with staff and payroll, then you can go for get the grant, but still that's out there. And then on the other side of things, and manage your expenses. So we're talking about subscriptions, have a look, reduce it down to just the essential equipment, other things that you have within your business that maybe are non-essential. They're the cool, nice things that happen, but maybe you don't need them right now. And do whatever you can to keep your staff. Do whatever you can to keep your staff, because they got families, they got livelihoods as well. But it's just all about managing that at the moment. And did I miss anything in the summary?
No. That was just with the landlord. It's always important. If you have a verbal conversation, go back and write an email or a letter to them outlining what your understanding of that conversation was and your expectations, and ask them to confirm whether that's correct or not. It's really important. Don't have a verbal conversation and expect that to be ironclad, because there's always that thing about what people interpret versus what they actually hear. Yes. So just make sure you have that in writing.
Okay. And what if, say, for the Aussies listening, where can they go for more info on small businesses and how the things that they're entitled to? Is it just the government website, isn't it?
There's lots of resources. So the one that I'll send you here it's treasury.gov.au is probably the best place to start, or ATO, or the Treasury and ATO websites are the best. So the treasury.gov.au or ato.gov.au, they're the best places to start. But ultimately, if you have an accountant, my accountant's being swamped. I sent him an email saying, look, have you got 30 minutes a couple of days ago? I haven't heard. But ultimately, just ring them up, keep hammering, get the advice that you need. A lot of this stuff is happening faster than, look, I was hoping that we'd have another week before we went fully online. And you get hope. What are they? Oh, there's a lovely one. Is that all the hope in the world won't get you fed? So, look, and the other thing going back to your customers is, and I know, and Jimmy and I will disagree on a lot of things that we have over the time, which is fine, which is great because you have that, you learn and you adapt. One of the things I've offered all of my members is I've said to them, if you stick with us, whoever sticks with us, that you will get a perpetual discount when we go back full training of 10% for life. If you stick with us now.
I'm not opposed to that.
And so I've said, this is what's going to happen. Anybody who leaves now, when they want to come back in the future, they will pay whatever my rates are on the website, and they will be significantly higher. Because when it comes back on board, I'm going to need more revenue coming in the door. And so I will do promotions and I'll do discounts and I'll do special offers and say, 20% off, 30% off, whatever it is on the higher marked price. But any members who come back, and it's horrible to say, I will punish them financially for not sticking through with me. And I think that's a really important lesson, is to say, if you have a cancellation policy, I have a 30-day cancellation policy, with the exception of the sad person who came in and ruined it, any respect that I would ever have for him yesterday. Everyone else, it's 30 days to the letter. But in that 30-day period, offer them every single thing and make sure that you're emailing them every week. What do you think? How are you going? You've got 2 weeks left. are you going to stay on? This is what we're offering. And I've had parents go to me, oh, can you give me 50% off? I'm like, why? Why would I give you half price on something that's going to be better value now? I'm going to give you 10% for life, which is going to be worth a bucket load more if your son trains with me for 5 years. And I've got kids that have been training with me since 2012 that are still signed up and paying money. And if it's only $65 a month, it's still better than no money a month.
Yeah.
So, what do you need to do? Like we're doing a lot of stuff. I'm going to be doing videos today. Teach your members how to get into the products that you're using. Send a thing out. I'm going to send a video out today saying a link to everybody saying, look, guys, get into our, we use Spark membership. Download the app. All the links to Zoom will be there. I'm going to have a video link in there where they can click on YouTube, and it's me showing them how to set up a laptop, how to set up a phone, how to set up a home area for the kids to do a training area. Now, I know we don't want to talk about a marketing thing. I'm going to be generating free content with my kids. So I'm going to be doing a Tiger Play School with my 4-year-old, and my lunchtime class on a Thursday is now going to be a family class because it's going to be me and my daughters. So they're going to come in and train with me. What can you do to differentiate yourself now and provide content out to the people who are scared, who will buy in the future, but right now they're too scared to make a commitment? And that's the other
I'm telling you this now. We're running ads for some gyms where we're doing online marketing for their local area. Like what you and I spoke about this before we got online, and I've been speaking about this all week. The leads are the cheapest they've ever been because so many people have pulled their money out. There's some statistics came up. Facebook usage in the last week in Australia has gone up 40%. Instagram usage has gone up like 37%. Online shopping has gone up ridiculous percent. And that means there's more available retail space, but advertising costs have gone down like over 50% because people have pulled their money out, but there's more space available to advertise. So when you do advertise, it's cheaper.
Did you hear about what Facebook are offering?
Yeah, to get free money, you have to apply for that. You can get free advertising money.
Yeah, look, I don't even know how to apply, but I've heard it on the wind, so I'm going to be following that.
It's on their website. I've got the link. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do. So, but don't be afraid to, say to people, hey, I know you're not ready now, but because within 2 to 3 weeks of my kids being locked up, they're going to go cuckoo. So, there's a lot of things. And if you've got, target different markets that you haven't done before. So if you always did one-on-one training or small group training, mums and their kids, advertise to them. Like this is the article I put into the group today. What other things, don't just make lemonade from lemons, make marmalade, make lemon zest, make lemonade, make, what other things, other materials that you can
vodka
generate.
lemon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You
might need 1 or 2 of those, spending all day with the kids every day.
Yeah, mate. We didn't bulk buy anything. We bulk bought wine. Was it?
Well, that does not surprise me one little bit, mate. Is there any final words you have? Because I've got to wrap this up. I've got another call coming up.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you want to summarize, maybe, or anything else you need to mention?
I think that I would say for your members that to admit that you are scared, and that you're going to do everything that you can possibly do to support them. And I've forgone being paid for the next 4 weeks to make sure that my staff and make sure that I've got the cash coming in and the nest egg being built up so that if the worst happens, that I have it there. Do whatever you can do to make you feel good. Now, I know that my family are financially secure. I'm doing things. I've put a little bit of money, and we've got a fireplace being installed shortly to save us some money over winter because I know my kids are going to be there all through winter. So it's going to be cheaper to throw logs in there and keep the house warm while they're doing their homework, and their desks are right next to it. What can you do to make you feel comfortable personally? So once you feel comfortable personally, the business thing won't be so scary. And I've gone through the 5 stages of grief in the last week. I can assure you, I have had tears. I've had it all. But stick with it, guys. Stick with it. You will get through. It'll pass, and our grandkids will talk about this. Yes,
100%. And I'm going to finish on one final note here. I haven't spoke about this on any of my podcasts or anything yet, but if you are struggling for cash right now, use this as a wake-up call to get fucking better with your money. Like, you should be storing away cash every single week. And you prioritize bills you prioritize rent, you prioritize all these things which have to be paid, but you need to put in as a line item in your, I'm doing air quotes, expenses as a savings line, storage line. I call it
Future
FU money.
investment. Future investment.
I call it FU money.
Yeah.
Because you can literally close the doors and go, fuck you, for 12 months. If you have 12 months of living expenses stored away, how much differently would you be reacting in this situation right now?
Absolutely.
Like, see how Tom, he's like, he doesn't have 12 months, but he's doing pretty good. He's got a whole bunch of stuff where he reshuffled finances around and stuff like that. He made sure he's got mortgage repayments for nearly a year. He's got all this stuff sorted to make sure his staff are paid and everything. And he's got things in place because now with that, of his peace of mind sorted, now he's able to focus on positive forward action.
I just had a thought, guys. Whatever you can do, if you can afford it, don't defer your payments. Switch to interest only, because you will have to pay the interest later. So if you can keep paying the interest, if you can do that, if you can afford to do it, keep doing it so that your mortgage doesn't screw you in the ass later on. Okay. Sorry, it just popped into my head.
Awesome, man. This is great. This is normal, not the normal type of podcast that we do or video that we do, but I'm going to shoot this out to all my email podcasts everywhere. I'll give it to you, Tom, as well, if you want to just distribute it, because I just think I'm just going to put this everywhere so people can hear.
Oh yeah, I'll put it up on Curious Growth, and I'll tag you in it. And look, you know, guys, if you and Jimmy's there, if you need a brain to bounce it off, just contact every single person. I'm literally getting off the phone with you now, and I'm going to be contacting my colleagues in the United States to talk about swapping drills with each other.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Tom, thanks, man. I'll speak to you soon.
Anytime.